Hello, I'm Sterling. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. Thanks for stopping by the channel. It's always a pleasure to get together every week. This is Memorial Day weekend, Sunday, and the time's recording, we're in the afternoon Pacific time. First off, I always like to start out by thanking all of the subscribers and all the individuals that really show a lot of love to the channel and provide questions every week. And it's really it's a great help. It's a great pleasure to kind of work with all of you, and it's really a lot of fun. So thanks for participating. This show is probably going to be a longer show. We'll cover a lot of ground. The topic for this show, as you probably can tell from the title, is kind of taking a look forward, 50 years forward in the world, as to kind of where I think things will be at across a number of different areas, including things like transportation, banking, and health, and medicine, and housing, and jobs, and all sorts of areas. We'll also cover a top 25 countdown list of the most frequently asked questions. This is after going through, really hundreds and hundreds of questions that come in every week. So thanks very much for doing that. Let's get a little bit of housekeeping here. I just want to mention that we're still running the contest. So when we get to 17,000 subscribers, I'll be giving away another half-hour session with myself. I think we're well on the way right now. So thanks again. So please remember to subscribe to the channel. It really helps. And when you like these videos and share them, again, it also helps the algorithm within YouTube. So let's get to the topic today. The top line topic, if you will, is kind of what my team is telling me the future is going to be like within about the next 50 years here across a number of different areas. So the first area that I inquired about to them was transportation, cars. And I really see a lot of this moving into to air travel. So what I mean by that is that drone technology will be adapted, if you will, to the family car, normal vehicles that people own, and then there'll be self-contained artificial intelligence and navigation systems that keep those aerial vehicles moving in the right direction and in the right kind of lines of air travel, if you will, within the airspace. There'll be advances in battery technology, solar technology, so these won't be petroleum-based vehicles. Will all be electrified. But I do see I see it starting out in mass transportation first, in terms of kind of this drone air travel, and then it'll move more into publicly available cars. Next topic area around kind of over the next 50 years is housing. And I see this evolving in a number of different areas. As I've talked in other shows, I see that more and more individuals will end up being provided with options to live underground and underwater. And this comes about for a number of reasons. We learn, for example, the desalination process with ocean water to kind of remove the salts and contaminants and make it more drinkable. Energy requirements will be less living underwater and living underground in terms of heating and cooling. And there'll also be some kinds of contamination in the air that we'll have to contend with. So, I mean, within 50 years, I do see this as becoming much more of a conventional option. Medical advancements in the next 50 years. I've talked again on this channel many times about gene editing and gene splicing. And within really 5 to 10 years, this will start being very commonplace. And then as we roll forward, as much as 50 years out, there'll be techniques to be able to understand, even at birth, what your body needs or requires, or vulnerabilities to certain illnesses. And through gene editing, they'll be able to provide a vaccine that will kind of keep on the straight and narrow and healthy as you go through life. So big advancements in the health area that will work on all sorts of cures, including Alzheimer's and cancer and many of the ailments that mankind has. So that would be a big development there. Jobs. I see, many of the jobs coming in about a 50-year period will certainly be focused around green energy, green living, green food. There'll also be a lot of what I'll call space-related jobs. So these will be involved in mining and travel and, moving, being able to fly to other planets and vacation. And so a lot of space-oriented jobs for travel and support in those areas. But I also see it's interesting that one of the areas that mankind will still be very, very adapted to, if you will, is innovation and creativity. So humankind, mankind, womankind, will certainly still be leaned on for innovation and creativity, even though there'll be a lot of other advancements in air travel and time travel and things of that nature. So kind of interesting in that area. By the way, a lot of the technologies I see for the jobs will come about through our ET relationships. And so a lot of the technology on space travel that will support those jobs will come from the ETs. Education. In the area of education over the next 50 years, I see a lot of education being supported by things like virtual reality and augmented reality, so you can bring complete living environments into your home. You also have access to extremely large databases of knowledge that you wouldn't normally have access to just based on the cost coming down of supercomputing. So computers running at almost faster than real time to provide a whole range of options. So teaching and learning and those sorts of things, education, will be greatly enhanced by virtual reality and augmented reality and technologies that will really be very easy to deal with and very portable. Marriage. I see, marriage, I see monogamy still being a very, very important element, even as we go 50 years in the future, as it aligns with the human spirit. But I do see there'll be much more acceptance across, social, cultures, sexual orientations. The monogamy will still be important, but it'll be much wider understanding of what true, joining of the spirits are and what true marriage is. So that absolutely over the next 50 years, I see that. In politics, I see we taking a slightly different stance, if you will, as we go through in politics. We'll have much more of a relationship with other galaxies, other universes, ETs, and we'll see much more of what will be almost classified as almost like a grand federation. But it won't just be one person, one president, if you will, as kind of leader in the US. We'll see kind of a conglomeration of other individuals from other galaxies, ETs, because there'll be much more of a universal approach to peace and managing warfare and economics and technology. So it'll be larger than just one person, one human being, but almost more of like a grand federation among planets and galaxies. Travel. So travel will evolve in a way that we'll have a lot of anti-gravity technology that'll be brought to us by the ETs. What that'll do is enable, almost in the short run, being able to shorten the travel times by 10x. So if you take conventional travel time over the next decade or two, 1/10 the amount of time will be the immediate outcome of some of this anti-gravity technology. But then also, when we look in terms of what we'll need to travel, we'll see much more technology around biometrics, and that is artificial intelligence and biometrics. So you understand individually who the person is through their eyes and their facial recognition, and that'll be tied back to a larger database that might be your passport or visa or even vaccine-related documents. So travel, I see over the next 50 years, great speeds, and the first of which will be, everything will be take 1/10 the amount of time, and then we'll move faster than that. Then I see kind of a conglomeration of a lot of the articles and security documents and things you'll need to travel being all combined down into one universal database that, will have the equivalency of like a QR code, which is like a barcode, but it'll be something that'll be very easy to carry. And I think there'll be other advancements in that area of what the actual reading device is, if you will, that will be the gateway to all that information. The justice system. I see the justice system evolving in a way that over the next 50 years helps to anticipate where crimes are going to occur. So the first advancements will be in adapting technology to where the biggest areas of violence will occur in the nation or the world, and then get to a point where they'll integrate new types of technology, precognitive technology. So much the way that, psychic mediums work right now. If you look at a movie like Minority Report, where they had the precogs actually anticipate crime before they happen, we'll get much closer to that sort of a world. We'll integrate not just advancements in, artificial intelligence and supercomputing, but also precognitive ability that will help anticipate crimes. On the environmental side, I do see, we talked about this earlier, but the desalination process being very, very important to having enough drinking water and to fight droughts worldwide. I also see a lot of new technology coming about that will allow you to scrub the air clean, both not just from petroleum particulate, but also nuclear accidents, the things in the air and the water. So over the next 50 years, we'll have many more new technologies that go scrub environments and make them cleaner. And again, I feel that a lot of these advancements are going to come about through our relationship with the ETs or extraterrestrials. This technology is already very, very well known. And kind of the last area I was going to look at in terms of the next 50 years of advancement is around energy systems. And I do see the implementation of what's called cold fusion. And cold fusion is a technology that womankind has not been able to get their arms around. But these advancements are coming over the next few decades. Certainly by the time we get 40 to 50 years out, we'll be able to harness cold fusion technology. It's a very economical way of producing large amounts of power. And more importantly, the power plants are a much smaller footprint. So you might be able to, for example, power an entire city or even a state with a power system that is the size of a conventional house. So cold fusion will be a very, very important part of energy as we work to create, safe power and efficient power. So there you go. There is kind of a rundown of what I see as in the major areas, what we'll be looking at in terms of advancements and what our life will look like about 50 years out. Okay, now let's get into the top 25 countdown of kind of the most frequently asked questions. And we'll start off with what I'll call a bonus question as we get into the top 25. So here we go. The bonus question for today was, does anyone know where the funds came from to produce the January 6th insurrection? My guides, my team are telling me that it came from a combination of US-based billionaires and individuals that were sympathetic to the insurrection, as well as through Russia, through a number of oligarchs. So, these funds came from very wealthy individuals and nations that were sympathetic to trying to overturn the US government. So and it hasn't shifted. Every time I've asked, that's the way the answers come through. So let's start off with the top 25 countdown of the most frequently asked questions. So number 25, is the Crystal City inside Mount Shasta inhabited by higher dimensional beings? Yes. Mount Shasta, like many locations on Earth, functions as a base for ETs. And there's certainly within those bases, you might call them cities or crystal cities. There are ways that ETs can replenish energy in their spaceships, and this is actually very common and known to a lot of governments. All this, as I said, within 5-year window here, the mass public will understand kind of who the ETs are, who's visiting the planet for millions of years, and then it'll probably be another 10 to 15 years by the time that ETs start mixing it up more with common people, if you will. So they'll certainly be well known and in public, but whether you're going to be working alongside one or have interaction, that's probably 10 to 15 years out for the common person, if you will. But the public will certainly understand who they are, and they'll be in public. Number 24 in our top 25 countdown, will people on SSI or SSID get a real raise on their benefits? Yes. Prior to the 2022 election cycle, I see about a 10 to 15% increase. And most of this is due to kind of, new tax structures and the way that the budgets are kind of allocated. Absolutely. Number 23 in our top 25 countdown, Is there a third option in the afterlife besides reincarnation or being a guide? And somebody said, whatever. So I like these questions. Yes, I mean, primarily you can choose, predominantly three different areas, if you will. The first is, you can stay in heaven to relax, enjoy the environment. You can enjoy other dimensions and talk with masters. That's kind of option number one. Number two, you can take on a new job in the afterlife. So it might be helping other people cross with an affliction that you had and you helping them cross. Or the third, you just decide to come back to Earth for further education and growth and kind of elevation in your energetic level. So it's kind of the three major, option areas, if you will. And then there's, sub options, if you will, in those three areas. Number 22 in our top 25 countdown. How will our ET friends present themselves to humanity if they're not physical, or are they physical? So they are physical. They can show themselves as a physical manifestation. In fact, many governments have already seen them and worked with them, but they do have the ability to shapeshift energetically, to have that ability. And so you'll see them physically, but they can shapeshift as required. And they do that a lot of times in order to prevent detection. And that's what they've been doing for, really millions of years. But yes, I mean, they're physical, you can see them. Number 21, will we ban plastic on this planet in the future? Yes, and inside of about 5 years, I see that we'll have scientific advancement in much better biodegradable plastic. So plastics as we know it will change, and so they'll shift and they'll be much more biodegradable. They'll actually integrate different types of plant components and other types of processes that will allow what looks like plastic, but it'll be a different composition, be very biodegradable. Number 20, where are all those souls who will not be coming back? So if souls don't come back to Earth, we just talked about this earlier, but you have a couple of different options. But they choose to stay in other dimensions, stay in heaven, or even visit other universes or other galaxies. So if you don't come back, you have other options. Number 19 in our top 25 countdown. In Arizona, the Secretary of State has just been stripped of duties for speaking out against the latest recount of the 2020 election ballots. Will Republicans succeed in their efforts to claim the election in Arizona was stolen? So no, the Republicans won't be successful in this effort. There'll be a number of, it's kind of like throwing ping pong balls at a ship. These are just a lot of, crazy attempts to add to all the disruption in the election and kind of, keep up the whole dialogue regarding the lie, if you will, the election was lost. But they won't come up with any substantive information that it was a stolen election. It will not be successful. Number 18 in our top 25 countdown. Will the TV show The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch accelerate contact with any of the ET species using the portal around the ranch? So, I mean, the show is one component in a number of things that are being brought out in our lifetime in order just to kind of expose people to the fact that they're coming and they're going to be much more public. Skinwalker Ranch, as I've mentioned a number of times in the past, is actually an airport. It's one of many airports around the world for ETs. So Skinwalker Ranch is a component. In and of itself, it won't accelerate that knowledge coming out, but it certainly supports it and gets the public ready for it. Number 17 in our top 25 countdown. When will Mount Rainier in Washington erupt again? It's interesting. I asked my team a couple of times about this, and it looks like, we're going to see a number of, earthquakes around Mount Rainier. And it feels like some of those are owing to like a minor disruption. Now, it looks like this is something that is long overdue, but it looks like more of a minor eruption could occur the tail end of this year, beginning of next year. It's nothing that I would say is catastrophic that will take out, the city of Seattle. But it looks like there's some minor eruption and a lot of little earthquakes around that area. Number 16, do aliens have jails? Well, yes, they have ways of confining, if you will, their brethren, their ET species, if they should have, significant types of problems. Fortunately, just through the evolution of a lot of the ETs, it's not really a common problem. But yes, they do have ways of confining some of their own if they have a problem. Number 15, what's up with the Amityville Horror House and demonic possessions? Are they trickster spirits or low energy spirits being given free reign? I've read on this before in other shows, but the Amityville Horror House, there are a lot of trickster spirits hanging out around there. Now, a lot of the attraction to those trickster spirits are that there were some, horrendous events that occurred in earlier years due to mental illness, murders and whatnot. And so these trickster spirits like to stay around there because the public finds it fascinating. So it's almost like, as the public gets enjoyment out of experiencing with them, they get enjoyment out of interacting with the public. So, if tomorrow everybody would just ignore that house, the Amityville Horror House, and go on about their business, it would be less of an issue. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on there. These are not demonic possessed spirits. Number 14, when we die, are we able to go back and visit a particular time period in our earthly lives that was particularly happy? And if so, can we visit with that time period as much as we want to? So the way this works is that when you're on the other side, time is nonlinear, and you actually have direct access in a very good way to the Akashic records. Now, first off, the Akashic records contain everything in past, present, and future of anything that occurs in any universe. So it's a very complete compendium of records. So on the other side, yes, you can visit earlier times in your life, present times, future times. The difference is if you choose to come back to Earth where time is linear, you do end up picking up where you left off. So you don't accelerate forward, you don't go backward. You do pick up where you left off in kind of the linear time environment here. So answer is other side, non-linear time. Yes, you can explore and experience those times again if you like, but when you come back to Earth, you can't do it the same way. Number 13, will Citizens United ever be overturned? Yes, what I get on that is that within 2 to 4 years with the Biden administration, this will be overturned and kind of take away the element of that act, if you will, that corporations are equivalent to people. And of course, that's what opened up a lot of the super PACs and a lot of the hidden money. So I do see over the next 2 to 4 years here, looks like it's either right within, Biden's first term or his second term that we'll see that get overturned. Number 12, why are spirits of children and others sometimes left on earth? Why doesn't the parent who passed or others lead them into the light? So my experience is, this question makes an assumption that I don't believe is correct, is that I see all spirits that pass on do move into the light and move to the other side. What I do see quite often is that if somebody had a difficult passing, or they feel it was just a really great effect on the family that's behind, it's not that the spirits don't move into the light, but they may spend a lot of time around the family to try to support them and warm their soul, warm their heart. So it's not that they don't pass right into the light, but they may come spend more time around the family. So hopefully that's clear. Number 11 in our top 25 countdown, when will it be possible for ordinary people to communicate with ETs? So we alluded to this earlier. Within 5 years, in fact, if not even faster, it's getting accelerated. The general public will certainly see that they're all around, understand who they are, the different species, what their spaceships look like, and that sort of thing. It's going to be another, let's say, 10 to 15 years from now before the common public will have more, let's say, interaction with them, be able to meet them, or they'll see some influence in the larger companies they work with or something of that nature. So it's all coming. Number 10 in our top 25 countdown, will there be a mass extinction of plant and animal life? No. And interestingly enough, I see a lot of further developments in supercomputing and artificial intelligence, which allows for real-time tracking of kind of all plant and animal and human species, kind of monitoring any threats for extinction and being able to take some sort of corrective action. So it looks like technology and supercomputing and artificial intelligence will allow much better monitoring worldwide of all species. Number 9, what do your guides think of all the deaths from guns in America? Do any suggestions on how to stop the violence or enlist gun control? So here again, this has come up a few times, but what I get on that, my team tells me that we're going to see first a much greater, well, we'll see a lot of the loopholes closed off. So short term, another year or so, see a number of the common, gun show loopholes and things of that nature be corrected. We'll see stricter registration guidelines. They'll almost run, gun registration like we currently see the Department of Motor Vehicles run, where there's tests and annual renewals or biannual renewals, that kind of a thing. As we go further on down the line, I do see a lot of integration of biometrics. And biometrics will be able to read, human characteristics and then enable operation of a gun. So eventually get to a point where biometrics will, let's say, prevent somebody that does not own that gun from using it, and actually get to a point over another couple of decades where we'll be able to start to anticipate just through body chemistry, what's going on with that individual and that gun. So biometrics are going to start to play a very important role, both with newer gun sales and then also see even a retrofitting in the past of prior guns or guns that already exist. Number 8, can you go into your Akashic records and change things in your current reality, such as a chronic health condition? No, by its very definition, the Akashic records, everything past, present, future. However, this is something that's interesting. We all have free will, and what we can do, we can actually modify the extent, if you will, or the scale at which things occur. So the extent at which, let's say, a chronic illness is a problem for you, or a chronic health condition. So you do have ability to come on to the timetable and the scale, but not that's on your birth blueprint. And so you're not going to be able to modify that. And that does all ramp up to the Akashic records. Number 7, why are so many people suffering from mental health conditions, and will they get better? And this person who wrote the question said, why are so many young people suffering from mental health conditions, and will they get better? What I get on that is that there's been a big trend over the last number of decades away from kind of core family interaction. And I'm just saying, everybody growing up in an environment where they experience enough love from family and there's a balance somehow in the family. So I do see, interesting enough, as we get further on down the road here, a number of years to decades, as technology starts alleviating some of the burdens on our time, we'll see a movement back to core family and families spending more time together. And I think this will have a very strong effect, a good effect on young people and some of the mental health issues that we're seeing. Number 6, what really happened to the Mayan civilization? So what I get on that is the reason that civilization died out was due to a very large range of complex factors. So it wasn't just one factor, but it was things like violence and problems with food supply and water contamination and disease. And so it was almost a perfect storm of a lot of factors that came together that created, the extinction, if you will, of the Mayan civilization. Kind of unfortunate, but if you understand the way the universe works, it was certainly on a timetable and a blueprint for the universe. Number 5, in our top 25 countdown, will Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax ever get passed so that we have real childcare and decent schools? So the answer is not directly, but I do see that here in the Biden administration with the tax reform that's coming up, that will be accounted for within the tax reform bill. So it'll be covered, won't necessarily be the exact carve out, let's say, that Elizabeth Warren saw, but certainly in principle, it'll achieve the same result. Number 4 in our top 25 countdown, why is Merrick Garland keeping the information about Trump's obstruction from being released? What I see there is a very close collaboration and a coordination with like the Southern District of New York and a lot of the cases going on there. So there's a lot of synchronization between the cases and the evidence, and just assuring that nobody gets ahead of all the best thinking in the legal circles, and they want all these cases to be successful in terms of coming to a conclusion. So I would say stay tuned, but he's not keeping the information hidden. for any other reason other than its good collaboration syncing with the Southern District of New York. Number 3, in our top 25 countdown, will humans in the future be able to join ETs in their vehicles and travel through space with them? Yes, and interesting enough, this has already occurred. So they're actually, this will come out publicly, but they're actually scientists and government officials and whatnot that have actually already experienced, if you will, rides in ET vehicles and be able to visit other places in the solar system, even places like Mars. So this is all going to come out, but the answer is yes. So it's already occurred, and then longer term, we'll see it more often. Number 2 in our top 25 countdown, do you see anything coming up this week? I do. And fortunately, this has come up the last 4 or 5 weeks now, but I do see still an increased level of gun violence, some mass shootings. There's really going through a storm, if you will, of mass shootings and gun violence. I also do see now more insiders on 45's team and his organization, if you will, being deposed. So going through depositions, and everybody's kind of starting to work deals behind the scenes because nobody wants to go to prison effectively. And I do see more earthquakes occurring worldwide that affect what's called the Ring of Fire. So it's kind of the ring of volcanoes and whatnot. So it's going to get one earthquake in the world, it tends to follow what's called the Ring of Fire. And it does, at some point, it doesn't feel like it's going to catch up with the U.S. in a way that's somewhat significant. Although, I don't see a large number of deaths, but I do see a lot of disruption in infrastructure. And number 1 in our top 25 countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share? They do. So the message for this week is please understand that if you are down here at this time, you are most notably a light worker. And you've kind of agreed to be down here at this time period to help the Earth heal over the next 3 decades. So take it seriously and enjoy the ride, so to speak. You've actually done a great thing to agree to come down here at this time and help the Earth heal. And this is really a time of great transformation over the next 3 decades, just in technology and understanding of the universe, and the veil becoming much thinner to the other side, more and more individuals being able to enable their own psychic mediumship gift, which we all have at birth. So anyway, a lot of good things happening. So just understand you're a light worker, and congratulations. So that concludes this show for this Memorial Day weekend. As always, please subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and share. Again, we still have the contest running when we reach 17,000 subscribers, giving away a free half-hour session with myself. And as always, if you'd like to book a session, it's very easy to do. My office team keeps my calendar very current. I just have to go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the Book Online tab, and it's a very easy, straightforward process. So until next week, all the best. Sending out lots of goodwill, lots of love. And remember that prayer circles do work and are very, very important. And so the more you can kind of enable and get together with other light workers around prayer circles, very, very helpful. So all the best, and we will see you next week. Thanks.